Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. So a lot has been happening around the XRP and even the crypto community. We know the focus right now is the US crypto reserve and stockpile. A lot of people have been asking me a lot of questions. Hopefully by the end of this video, I could actually answer a lot of them. I don't want to waste too much time though, right? But before we dive on in, I just want to let you guys know that my clothing brand, Tokenized Threads, has officially launched a completely new product catalog. You can see all of the t-shirts here, the hoodies, and even the sweatshirts as well. If you guys do want to support the channel more than you already do by just watching the videos, which I greatly appreciate, this is the best way. I do not show you guys, projects for payment. I do not get paid by any projects I talk about on this channel. And this is just one way that is another source of income for the channel to keep it going. And if you guys do want to support it, you guys are more than welcome to. I really just want to provide you guys with something for your money. If you guys are donating to the channel or supporting the channel, this is the best way that I could do that. So if you guys do want to go check out the clothing, you guys are more than welcome to. You're not obligated to buy anything, but if you guys do want to support the channel and also support Tokenized Threads, you guys are more than welcome to. Now, with that being said, let's dive on in to a few things happening around XRP. Number one, Pierce's technology. So the wait is officially over. Excited to share that the XRP Ledger EVM sidechain is now live on testnet. This is in a great collaborative effort between the RippleX dev team, Axeler, Common Prefix, and also the Pierce's teams. We've been able to complete this critical milestone in preparation for the mainnet launch, which is now just around the corner. This is great because this is, interoperability and even programmability that's going to upgrade the XRP ledger and even upgrade XRP as well. And of course, the EVM sidechains are crucial. Let it be known that Ethereum has massive amounts of DeFi protocols, over 1,000 plus tied to it, 100 billion plus in terms of TVL. So being able to bridge that to these additional networks so that, the DeFi side, the devs, the users can all really see the efficiencies of these additional networks like the XRP ledger is very exciting. And they could do that through the EVM sidechains. I think that this is going to be great for adoption, for growth of the network. And I just think that it's overall very beneficial for the entire, ecosystem. So love to see this. And again, it's with some great names out there like Piercist, even Axeler. So we got to love, seeing the XRP ledger, seeing these big upgrades happening at a perfect time. Now, outside of this, we also have to talk about the big news happening around Circle, which was Circle filing for an IPO. Now, this started to have a little bit of speculation tied to it in terms of what's happening next. Now, the Circle IPO is definitely huge. In fact, I would argue that it's just as big, if not bigger, than the Coinbase one. I think that this is going to be really an accelerant for more IPOs to happen in this space. Now, everyone's asking the big question, is Ripple next up? In fact, Johnny Deaton did say Circle, then Kraken, then Ripple. Now, we can't say for certain if this is how it's going to look, but I wouldn't really argue with the idea that Ripple will IPO this year. But we don't know if that's going to be the case, especially considering the fact that Brad Garlinghouse was recently on Bloomberg TV talking about the IPO, and he said that it is possible, but isn't a huge priority. In fact, I don't see why it would be a big priority for them, especially with the stablecoin launch. But I do think that the IPO would be very bullish. And the reason why is because we obviously know that Ripple does sell XRP. It's not a big secret. We know that that's one of their big revenue sources. But if they did IPO on top of the stablecoin side of things, all of a sudden they have some great revenue generating opportunities outside of selling XRP. So wouldn't that mean that the selling of XRP would subside because of how much capital they're bringing in from the IPO and also from the stablecoin? I think so. So I think that this could be very beneficial for XRP, but also check out the video clip regarding this.
Is an IPO, frankly, in your future now? We talk so much about the potential for the XRP token to be wrapped in an ETF. That is a method of listing. Right. So is listing possible now for you for Ripple?
Well, it's certainly something that is possible. The United States SEC under Gensler was so hostile to this industry. I mean, ironically, they approved the S1 from Coinbase and then sued them for doing the things they said they were doing. So this SEC, fortunately, is going to be, I think, very constructive and positive for this industry. So I think that's available, and I think the company's at a stage where we could consider that. That being said, it isn't a huge priority. I think most companies are going public. Raising capital is something that is high on their radar. We have been in a very fortunate position to be able to grow the business organically. We're also, frankly, more proactive in looking at acquisitions. This is an industry that finally is going to be able to thrive in the United States, the largest economy in the world. And I think the industry is still underestimating the shift from the headwinds to the tailwinds. That's going to make a bigger difference than people think. And finally, the U.S. market is really unlocked.
So it sounds like what you're saying, acquisitions are almost more of a priority now than an IPO for you. So then what would you be looking for to buy, and how big are you willing to go?
Well, I'm not going to name names, but look, Ripple at its core is a blockchain infrastructure company. We sell our technologies to business, primarily financial institutions, and we'll look at other things that are blockchain infrastructure companies. I think there will be consolidation this year. There's a lot of excitement about some of the changes, and we will lean into that for sure.
So at the end of the day, right, the IPO is not really a big priority, but I wouldn't, write off the idea of Ripple IPOing potentially over the next 12 to 24 months. Again, is it a big thing that I'm focused on? Not exactly. There's so many big developments happening around this space that I just don't really care to speculate about the IPO all day long, or even harp on about it, because it's not really that beneficial for XRP holders outside of it being another revenue generating opportunity for Ripple, which could subside sell pressure on, XRP. But also it does put a big valuation on XRP in terms of how much Ripple is holding, which is very beneficial for their business. But outside of that, let's actually jump on in to the ETF side of things, because Grayscale officially filed to convert its private digital large cap fund, which contains XRP, Solana, ADA, Ethereum, and Bitcoin, to a publicly available ETF. So again, we keep hearing about these ETFs. They do revolve around XRP. We know that there's like over 18 filings for XRP now in terms of ETFs. Again, I think that this is also another big thing that happens over the next 12 months. I wouldn't be surprised if we had a live XRP ETF trading before the end of the year. But let's actually jump on into the big news, which is the US government potentially buying XRP. So here we have the US crypto stockpile and SBR. This is basically the strategic reserve in terms of Bitcoin. This got posted by Marty Party Music, and we have this Saturday, the U.S. government is finalizing a comprehensive audit of its crypto holdings as the 30 days since March 6th executive order approaches. This is now registered in the Federal Register. Within 30 days of the date of this order, the head of each agency shall provide the Secretary of the Treasury and the President's Working Group on Digital Asset Markets with a full accounting of all government digital assets in such agency's possession, including any information regarding the custodial accounts in which such government digital assets are currently held. That would be necessary to facilitate a transfer of the government digital assets to the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve or the United States Digital Asset Stockpile. If such agency holds no government digital assets, such agency shall confirm such fact to the Secretary of the Treasury and the President's Working Group on Digital Assets Markets within 30 days of the date of this order. Now, we do know that the Strategic Reserve and also the stockpile includes confiscated or seized crypto. We also know that the US is not looking to buy any crypto at this current point. Could that change? 100%. Everyone is harping on about how the US government won't buy XRP because they don't want to buy crypto. That's right now. That could easily change. We know that back in March, Trump posted about the US crypto reserve. Now, since then, a lot has changed because, number one, XRP was supposed to be in that reserve, but then it got shuffled into the stockpile. Now, the way that I look at this is I think that the crypto in the stockpile is actually 10 times more bullish than what's in the reserve. Bitcoin's the only one in the reserve. And the reason why I say that is because it looks like the stockpile is mainly based around utility-based projects that are actually going to be utilized, not just held. So I still think that the stockpile is more bullish than the reserve, but this Saturday we're going to see a lot, right? We're going to see a lot about what the government is actually holding and how are they going to stockpile XRP, Solana, or ADA? Because from my understanding, they don't hold any XRP. We actually have a breakdown over on Arkham. Now, I don't know how legit this is, but we do have their full portfolio here. You have Bitcoin, you have Tether, you have Ethereum, wrapped Bitcoin, BNB, things like that. Now you can actually look at it by chain as well. And you can see the breakdown. Like if you actually look at the assets here under like Ethereum, you can see all of the assets. You can see under Bitcoin, BNB chain, Tron, etc. Right? But there's no XRP. There is no XRP on here. And the question is, all right, well, if XRP is going to be included in that stockpile, how are they going to get it? Are they going to sell Ethereum for XRP? Basically just swapping? They could, technically. Or are they going to change the rule about buying crypto and they're going to buy up Solana, ADA, and XRP? I think that could happen. I even talked about it over on X. I said the US government could soon purchase a large amount of XRP, and this is why. This Saturday is the cutoff on the US government audit of the crypto reserve and stockpile. I personally believe this could be a monumental day and moment for crypto. The big question now is how the US government will acquire XRP for the stockpile. The main speculative idea was that the government would accept a settlement payment in XRP from the SEC lawsuit. We know that didn't happen because we got an update that Ripple already escrowed the money for the settlement payment in USD. If the US government is serious about this stockpile, then they will have to purchase XRP openly. This could be huge for XRP considering the legitimacy it would provide, but also the spotlight attention. Now again, this is me speculating. But if they don't hold XRP, and if it's included in the stockpile, how are they going to get it? Is Ripple going to gift them it? I don't see how that would be the case. Like, what's going to happen here on Saturday or after Saturday? And by the way, a lot of people are saying, like, and this is also from Marty Party. Now, I don't agree with this. He said, in my opinion, the US government will stockpile the network tokens of the network's digital dollar stablecoins are issued on. Solana, Ethereum, Sui. Will they run validators? Probably, but the US dollar is going on these chains as USDC and USDT, and the US will protect them as a public service via the Commerce Secretary and policy. This is on-chain digital US debt legal tender. Once stablecoin legislation is passed, other institutions will be able to apply to be issuers of US digital debt, aka stablecoins, either new ones or white-labeled USDT and USDC. Accumulate the network tokens. Now, what's crazy about this is like nobody's talking about XRP. I even said, because somebody said, what about XRP stablecoin, laugh out loud? And we have currently not in the conversation, but might qualify once regulation is in law. Ripple will need to apply like any other institution. And I said, how wouldn't it be in the conversation? RLUSD is 100% regulated and compliant. It's also more transparent than USDT, not to mention that Ripple has a stronger balance sheet than Circle. In my opinion, RLUSD will 100% be a part of this. And we know that it will be because number one, Ripple is a US-based crypto, company. Okay. RLUSD has so many regulatory licenses behind it that it outweighs Tether. In terms of Circle, yes, Ripple is already on a completely different level than Circle in terms of their balance sheet. I don't see how XRP wouldn't be included in this in a huge way. And I do think that the XRP ledger is going to be a huge piece of this because of the stablecoin, but also because of the fact that Ripple is a massive giant in the US. It makes a lot of sense for the stockpile to include XRP because of what Ripple is doing with the stablecoin and who Ripple is working with. Also, do not forget that, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse and the CLO Stuart Alderoty met with Trump. We know that they met with Trump even in the summer of 2024 as well. We also know that Ripple's, at a lot of big, heavy hitting tables around legislation with stablecoins or stablecoin discussions. So it would make a lot of sense. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you guys did enjoy this video, definitely leave a like, subscribe to notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.